All right, get ready, because we're going to do a deep dive into data businesses today.
Yeah, it's really interesting stuff.
You guys sent in a ton of articles about uh, data as a service, data multi-product strategies, and even some stuff about how this all looks in a future with generative AI.
Yeah, and the thing is, we're not just talking about software anymore.
Right.
We're really talking about data as a product, like the core thing companies are building their business around.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
One of the articles, the Data as a Service Bible, really gets into like the nuts and bolts of these businesses.
Yeah.
And how it's not just like, oh, I'm going to collect data and sell it.
It's way more complicated.
Yeah, there's a whole ecosystem.
Right.
So that's where those three pillars come in. Data acquisition, data transformation, and data delivery.
Yep. Think of it like making a cake.
Okay.
You need the right ingredients. That's data acquisition. You need the right recipe to like mix it all together. That's data transformation. And then you need a way to present that cake to your customers, right?
Okay. I like where you're going with this.
Data delivery.
So let's start with data acquisition then.
Okay.
Where do these companies even get all this data?
It can be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's those old school brute force methods like Zoom info back in the day.
Really?
They literally started by manually collecting contact info over the phone.
Wow.
Can you imagine the patience?
That's intense.
Yeah, so starting from scratch.
But the Data's Bible mentions other approaches too, right?
Sure.
Like data co-ops and even using data that comes from a different part of the business.
Exactly. It's like a really resourceful chef finding ingredients in weird places.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, like partnering with other companies, tapping into public data, even finding data from their own operations.
Huh?
Gotta be creative.
So once they have all that raw data, then what?
Then the real magic happens.
That's the transformation stage.
That's it. They take that raw data, which is messy and disorganized, and make it valuable.
It's like taking those raw ingredients and making the cake batter.
That's a good way to put it. It involves cleaning the data, deduping, making the formats all match up, and connecting different data sets.
So it's not just about having a lot of data.
No.
It's about making sure it's accurate, organized, and means something.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
And the DOS Bible talks about how machine learning is really important here. They use it for things like image recognition and creating a learning curve moat.
Okay, what's a learning curve mode?
Basically, as they process more data, their systems get smarter, making it hard for competitors to catch up.
So they're constantly improving.
That's the idea.
Like a recipe that gets better each time you bake the cake.
You got it.
Okay, so we got the data and we've transformed it.
Right.
Now we need to talk about data delivery.
The last piece of the puzzle.
How do customers actually get this data?
That's where it gets interesting for the user.
I bet.
The DOS Bible mentions APIs, batch files, real-time streams, even user interfaces for those who aren't super techy.
So many options.
It's about making that data accessible and easy to integrate with other systems.
Makes sense.
Like making sure the cake is delicious, but also presented beautifully and easy to serve.
I like this analogy.
The goal is to make it easy for customers to get the most value out of the data, seamless integration with other data sets, clear documentation, and easy-to-use tools to make the data come alive.
Okay, so now we have our cake baked and ready to go.
Right.
But now we need to talk about selling it.
The economics of it all.
Exactly. The economics of data businesses. Article dives into the business side of all this.
It really does.
And it talks about some of the unique challenges and opportunities of this kind of business model.
And one of the first things you'll notice is that these businesses often start off slow.
Really?
Yeah, it's not like software where you build it and immediately start selling.
Right.
They need to build what they call a minimum viable corpus.
A minimum what?
Viable corpus, or MVC.
Okay, so what's that?
It means they need enough valuable data before they can even start making money.
So they got to have a solid foundation of data before they can get going.
Exactly.
But that sounds risky.
It can be. Think about the upfront costs of building that data set.
Yeah, that's true.
The Task Bible even points out that data acquisition costs are actually part of the cost of goods sold.
Whoa, that's unusual, isn't it?
It is, and it means those costs are high at the beginning, which leads to low profit margins early on.
Like they're investing a ton in the kitchen and ingredients before they can even start baking.
Exactly.
But what happens when they get big enough?
That's where things get exciting.
Tell me more.
Once they have that critical mass of data, their margins get really good because those initial costs don't go up as much as their revenue does.
Okay, so it's like once you have that amazing kitchen, you can just keep baking more cakes without spending a ton more money.
Precisely.
So it's a long game.
It is, but the potential is huge.
The article even compares it to Netflix.
Yeah.
Investing heavily in content up front, but then having millions of subscribers to help cover the costs.
Exactly. And just like Netflix, data businesses can benefit from network effects.
What do you mean?
The more users they have, the more valuable their data
So
becomes.
it's like a snowball effect.
You got it. More users, more data, more value, and that attracts even more users.
It just keeps growing.
A virtuous cycle of growth.
That's amazing. But it's not just about the data itself, right?
Right?
The Economics of Data Businesses article also talks about how they build moats to protect their market share.
That's right, Fancy. Things like network effects, switching costs, and data gravity.
Okay, so we'll dive into those moats and how they work in a generative AI future in the next part of our deep dive.
We'll pick up right where we left off.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Me neither.
Okay.
Okay, so like we were saying before the break, let's dig deeper into those moats.
Yeah, the defenses around that data treasure.
Exactly like building up your castle.
So what kind of defenses are we talking about?
Well, the Economics of Data Businesses article mentions network effects, switching costs, and data gravity.
Right, those were the big ones.
Yeah, so network effects basically mean the more users a data business has, the more valuable the data is for everyone.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like, think about LinkedIn.
Okay,
The more people are on it, the better it is for networking and recruiting.
so it's like that snowball thing.
Exactly.
More users, more data, more value, which brings in even more users.
Right. And that also ties into switching costs.
Okay, how so?
Once a business is really using a data provider, it's super hard and expensive to switch to someone else.
It's like you build your whole castle around that data source.
Exactly. The more you build, the harder it is to move.
And then there's data gravity.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
So what is it?
It's the idea that as a data business gets more and more of that important data, it becomes like the main source of truth for its customers.
It's like the ultimate authority.
Right, and then it's really hard to leave because everyone needs that data.
The Paths to Multi-Product article,
Yeah.
Salesforce is an example, right?
Yeah, they started with just customer relationship management. Right. But they became the center for so much customer data that it's almost impossible to replace them.
Wow, that's pretty powerful.
And this is where things get really interesting when we talk about multi-product strategies.
How so?
Because the article says data businesses are in a great position to expand what they offer by using this data gravity.
Yeah, because they're already seen as the go-to source for that core data.
Right, so it makes sense they would offer more products and services that build on that.
It's like building an empire.
Kinda, yeah. The article actually talks about this idea of gravity that pulls customers towards new products.
Oh, interesting.
They talk about account gravity, workflow gravity, and of course, data gravity, which we've been talking about.
Okay, so break those down for me.
All right, so account gravity is basically about using those existing customer relationships to sell more.
So you already have these customers who trust you.
Exactly, and they're more likely to buy more from you.
Makes sense.
But the article says it's not just about the sales relationships.
There's more to it.
Yeah, it's about creating a product that captures account gravity.
Can you give an example?
Sure, like if your data product becomes a distribution channel like an app store,
Okay.
then you have this whole new way to sell other things.
You're building a platform that people can't live without.
That's the goal.
Okay, what about workflow gravity?
That one's all about understanding how your customers actually work
Okay.
and then building products that fit into those workflows.
So making things seamless.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the article breaks it down even further into follow the workflow and follow the money.
Follow the money, that sounds promising.
It does, right? So basically you figure out where the money's changing hands, those super important workflows, and then you build solutions that add value at each step.
So you're always where the action is.
Exactly. The article uses Coupa as an example.
Okay, I've heard of them.
They started with procurement software,
Mm-hmm.
but then they expanded to include sourcing contracts, invoices, even payment management.
So they cover the whole process.
Yeah, they're the one-stop shop for anything financial.
And by following the money, they get a big piece of the pie.
Exactly. And the article says this can even go beyond just one company.
Really?
Yeah, connecting buyers and sellers through a shared platform.
Because you're not just serving one customer, you're connecting a whole network.
Right, like Ariba.
Okay,
They started with internal stuff, but now they connect whole supply chains.
that's a huge leap.
It is.
Okay, so data gravity isn't just about keeping your current customers. It's about bringing in new ones and building this whole world around your data.
Exactly.
But how does this all work when we think about generative AI?
That's the big question.
Everyone's talking about AI.
The Paths to Multi-Product article says AI can be a good and a bad thing for data businesses.
How so?
Well, for those who have the single source of truth, AI can be awesome
Okay, I can see that.
because they can use AI to get even more insights from their data. make things more personalized for users, and create even better products.
So they're using AI to their advantage.
Exactly, but for companies that just kind of add on data from other sources, it might be harder.
Why is that?
Because AI could just cut them out.
Really?
Yeah, AI could end up being way better at collecting and analyzing all that data.
So they become less important.
Right. And then there are questions about who owns the data.
Right. That gets messy.
It does. The article actually quotes CB Insights founder Anand Sanwal,
Okay.
and he talks about how the unique data they have, like interviews with software buyers and stuff from regulatory filings, wouldn't just be in a large language model.
So it's not just about the data that's publicly available.
Exactly. You need that special stuff that's hard to find.
Makes sense.
And this brings up an interesting point about those per-seat data businesses.
Remind me what those are?
They're the ones that combine their data with software.
So they're not just selling raw data.
Right. They're giving you a whole package with data analytics and tools.
So could that help them stay ahead of AI?
It's possible if they focus on those user-friendly solutions that use their special data and AI capabilities.
So they're not just competing with AI, they're using it.
Exactly. And that makes them more valuable to customers.
It's not just about having the data or even having AI, it's about using them together to solve real problems.
That's the key. And that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating.
It really is.
We're seeing data, AI, and multi-product strategies all coming together.
It's like a whole new world.
It is like a new frontier for data businesses.
Okay, but we haven't talked about that point from the Deus Bible, about data businesses being backward-looking.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
How does that fit into all this?
Well, they basically say that data is all about understanding what already happened.
Like looking in the rearview mirror?
Kinda, yeah. They even say it's like predicting the past.
Which sounds kind of weird.
It does, but it's actually super important.
How so?
Because if we can understand the past really well, then we can make better decisions about the future.
So it's all about learning from our mistakes.
And our successes.
Right, so we can make smarter choices going forward.
Exactly, and that's why having accurate and reliable data is so crucial.
It's not just about having a lot of data. It's about having the right data.
Exactly. We
Ah.
need data we can trust.
So even with all this AI stuff, the basics of data quality are still super important.
Their data businesses are like the guardians of truth.
Protecting the information we rely on.
Right, making sure it's accurate and reliable so we can make good decisions.
Okay, that makes sense.
And this also connects back to how data businesses are built on trust.
Okay,
They have to prove that they're accurate, reliable, and transparent.
which takes time,
It does, but once they build that trust, it's a huge advantage.
especially with all the misinformation out there.
Yeah, people need to know they can trust their data source.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But let's not forget about the unique economics of these businesses.
Right, we talked about that before.
The Economics of Data Businesses article made it clear that they're not like regular software companies.
They're a different beast.
So remind me what makes them different.
Well, the article said that software businesses often see their economics get worse over time,
Yeah,
but data businesses can actually see their economics improve as they grow.
that's interesting. Why is that?
Well, remember how we talked about those high initial costs for getting data?
Yeah.
Those costs don't go up as much as their revenue does, so as they get bigger, their profit margins get better.
So it's like our kitchen analogy again.
Exactly.
Once you have that amazing kitchen, each cake you bake is more profitable.
Right. And data businesses can also get data cheaper as they grow.
So it's like a positive feedback loop.
Exactly. More growth, more data, lower costs, even more growth.
That's amazing.
And we saw that with Zoom Info, remember?
Yeah, their story was incredible.
They had amazing financial success.
But it's not all about the money, right?
No, the DAX Bible also talks about the impact these businesses can have.
Okay.
They talk about making data accessible and usable, arguing that the more data we can connect and analyze, the more valuable it becomes.
So it's about sharing knowledge and helping everyone benefit from data.
Exactly. It's like democratizing data, making it available to everyone so we can all make better decisions.
That's a powerful idea.
It is, and it's great to see companies embracing this philosophy.
But let's not forget about those challenges we talked about.
Right.
The slow start, the need to explain what they do, and the importance of having the right systems to handle all that data.
And of course, making sure the data is accurate and high quality.
Which is even harder when you have so much data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work and a team of people who really care about data.
The Dot-Ass Bible even compared working at a data company to being an archivist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, emphasizing that attention to detail and respect for the data.
It's a good comparison. Those data custodians are so important.
And they're the ones making sure we can trust the information we use.
Exactly. And their role is only going to get bigger as AI becomes more powerful.
That's a good point. Data businesses are becoming a core part of how we understand the world.
They really are.
So we've talked about it a lot, but there's one more thing we need to explore.
Okay, what's that?
What makes data truly valuable?
The million-dollar question.
And how do data businesses capture and deliver that value to their customers?
Those are the questions we'll tackle in the final part of our deep dive.
Can't wait. All right, so we're back for the last part of our data business deep dive.
The grand finale.
We've covered a lot of ground: data acquisition, transformation, delivery, the whole economic side of things, those moats, protecting those data castles.
It's been quite a journey.
But like we mentioned at the end of part 2, there's one big piece left: value.
The heart of the matter.
What actually makes data valuable, and how do these businesses get that value to their customers?
That's the question that drives everything for these data businesses, right?
Right. It's not just about collecting and selling data. It's about using it to make a real impact.
Impact, exactly.
So how do we measure that impact, though?
That's a good question.
Is it all about the money, or is there something more to it?
Well, the Economics of Data Businesses article makes a pretty strong case that the real value of data is in its ability to answer questions and help us make better decisions.
So it's like a key that unlocks solutions.
Exactly, like problems that would be almost impossible to solve without that information.
So data can give businesses a competitive edge, help them work better, or even lead to those big innovations that change whole industries.
Absolutely. Think about those hedge funds using alternative data to make smarter investments,
Right.
or retailers using location data to figure out the best places for their stores.
That's data in action.
It's data making a real difference.
So the data itself isn't really valuable.
Right.
It's the insights we get from it and what we do with those insights that really matters.
That's the key takeaway. It's not just about having the data. It's about knowing what questions to ask, how to get those insights, and then turning those insights into action.
And that's where those 3 pillars come in, right?
Exactly. Acquisition, transformation, delivery.
Each step helps make the data more valuable.
Right? Acquisition is about getting the right data transformation, is about turning it into something useful. And delivery is about making sure it gets to the right people.
Like a well-oiled machine.
Precisely. And the DACE Bible really stresses the importance of data transformation.
Yeah.
They say the more data sets you can connect, the more interesting and valuable the questions you can answer.
Like putting together a giant puzzle.
Exactly. You start seeing the big picture.
But it's not just about connecting the dots, right?
No, it's also about using the right tools to find those hidden insights.
Whether that's fancy statistics, machine learning, or just presenting the data in a clear way.
Right. You got to tell a story with the data, a story that people can understand and use.
And that brings us to delivery.
The final act.
Getting those insights to the people who need them.
Exactly. And the DACE Bible talks about the importance of having clear documentation, seamless integration with other systems and user interfaces that anyone can use.
So it's not just for the data scientists.
Right. It's about making data accessible to everyone.
And that reminds me of those per-seat data businesses.
Yeah.
They're all about delivering value by packaging those data insights into user-friendly software.
Right. They're making data easy to digest and use.
So everyone can benefit from it.
Exactly. It's like turning a complicated research paper into an infographic that anyone can understand.
Love that analogy.
So we're democratizing data, empowering people to make better decisions.
And that brings us back to data gravity
Full circle.
and how it connects to creating value.
You remember that single source of truth idea?
Yeah, being the ultimate authority on the data.
The Paths to Multi-Product article made it clear how powerful that is for data businesses.
You become indispensable.
Exactly. Everyone needs your data. And that opens up so many possibilities for expanding your offerings.
Like building a whole kingdom around your data.
Exactly. The Paths to Multi-Product article used Salesforce as a great example.
Right. They started with CRM, but they use their data to expand into other areas.
Customer service marketing, even e-commerce.
So they're not just a data company anymore.
Right, they're a whole ecosystem built around that core data.
And that's a key shift.
From just selling data to being a real partner.
Helping customers solve problems and reach their goals using data as the foundation.
It's a powerful transformation.
And AI has the potential to take this even further.
It's like giving these businesses a superpower.
Letting them get even more insights, automate things, and create a truly personalized experience.
The whole new level of value creation.
But as we said before, AI can be a double-edged sword.
Right.
It could help those single source of truth businesses, but it could also hurt those that just rely on adding on data from other places.
Exactly. It could make those third-party data providers obsolete.
It's a fascinating challenge.
It is. Will AI enhance the value of unique data sets or replace them completely?
Only time will tell.
Only time will
But
tell.
one thing's for sure,
What's that?
the best data businesses will be the ones that embrace innovation, adapt to change, and never forget their core mission
Which is,
to deliver real value to their customers.
couldn't have said it better myself.
And that value goes beyond just profits.
Right. It's about using data to make the world a better place.
Solving problems, driving progress, making a positive impact.
That's what it's all about.
It's inspiring to see companies doing this.
It is. It gives you hope for the future.
So to wrap up our deep dive into data businesses,
What a journey it's been.
we've learned about the ins and outs of how these businesses work, the economics, the strategies, the power of data gravity, and the potential of AI.
We've covered a lot of ground.
But the biggest takeaway for me is this.
I'm listening.
Data is more than just numbers. It's knowledge. It's understanding is a way to make things better.
I like that.
The real value of data is in its ability to help us ask the right questions, make smart choices, and ultimately create a better future.
A future where data is a force for good.
Exactly. Driving progress and innovation for everyone.
I love it.
So thanks for joining us on this amazing adventure.
It's been a pleasure.
And remember, the most valuable data is the data that inspires you to make a difference.
Now go out there and make a difference.
We'll see you next time.